And we told you, we'll try as much as possible, get into the archives, well, just a new archives, just yesterday, that's Sunday and Saturday, bring to you some interesting stories, but we will intersperse all these with some great conversation. Mamavi, we're looking at some of the big falls, but also discussing the victories as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be connecting on Zoom to get some of the new faces that we would see. Well, it's not automatic, like I've said, even though it's strongly believed that these are NPP strongholds. And in some of the places, when you find yourself on the ballot, you're automatically in parliament. So we'll get some of the new faces via Zoom and have a conversation with them. Madam Tangomba Abayage is a parliamentary candidate for Navrongo Central. She's going to be joining us. Hello, Madam there. I can see you. Congratulations to you.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning. Ms. Ali Dusedu, I can see you. I saw a very... Dr. Ali Dusedu, are you with us?
Yes, please. Good morning, Mama V.
Good morning. You are smiling. Which constituency seat did you capture?
I can't disclose it now.
Okay, I will start with you, Dr. Ali Dusedu. 40 MPs will not be going back to Parliament. Some of them sit as chair of some very important committees in Parliament. Ordinarily, for those of us who are not party people, we are surprised that they are not going to go back to Parliament. But the party itself does not necessarily think so. I wonder what you make of what has happened.
I think it speaks volumes to the level that our democracy has become. If you want to look at it, it could be interpreted in two broad senses. One, people think you can be held to account once you breach the trust with the people. So from that particular perspective, you are looking at this defeat purely from the perspective of accountability. The people have elected you to go and serve their interests. And over the years, they have realized, or they have reasons to believe, that you were not able to do as they had wanted you to do. So basically, from that perspective, it is pure an element of accountability. But two, people are also looking at it from the perspective of inducement. It is not just the fact that we're not able to do our work very well, but people came out and were able to outspend our efforts. And for that matter, we have not been voted for because we were not a match for the people who have turned out to overspend us. So the first instance, if it is actually true that these incumbent MPs were not able to win simply because of their inability to live up to the expectation of the constituents, then it speaks to the level of democratic deepening, that the Ghanaian voter has matured, the Ghanaian voter cannot be taken for granted, the Ghanaian voter cannot be lied to. Regardless of who you are, whether a sitting MP or whosoever you are, if you do not live up to your obligation of the social contract, then the people are going to kick you out. If that is the case, then every MP who is elected or every politician who is elected will now be very mindful of the fact that there will be a day of reckoning. But if you look at it from the other angle, it cheapens our democracy. It makes our democracy look so cheap that people can do so much work, people can sacrifice, people can put up a lot of effort. Then at the end of the day, it's just somebody who is able to marshal so much resources. You come and then you buy him out. If that is the case, then it means that the people that we are going to elect to be our members of parliament will technically not be cut for the job. It's just because of their ability to spend more than others. And if that is the case, then we are going to have a lot of challenges with the level of reasoning that will go to the parliamentary debate, with the level of scrutiny that will go to looking at bills and legislation that come before parliament, and with the level of representation that we are going to get moving forward for our constituents, for the country, and everyone else in this country.
So from the analysis that you've done yourself, Dr. Ali Dusedu, what is, which one will fit the box? Is it buying out, so the person who has more buying out, or it's simply because they didn't do enough work on the ground and the people were dissatisfied?
I think we cannot paint all these constituencies the same brush. They may be multiplicity of reasons, and there may be instances where these two reasons play out. So if you go to Bantama, for example, the losing candidate was very categorical in subsequent interviews that he was not a match financially for the deputy chief of staff. And he has reasons to believe that money's exchanged hands and he was outspent. So I'm not saying what he's saying is true, but it's an allegation. And that allegation might have been informed by experience and events that he has witnessed. There was also another instance where another legislature lost. I can't remember that constituency. And went and took the 250 bicycles he has bought for the delegates. I made mention that he gave constituency executives 500, delegates 300, and each bicycle cost him like 300 Ghana cedis. So the whole issue of monetization of our politics has been with us. And I don't think it's going to go anytime soon. Simply because it boils down to the issue of what? Responsiveness.
Pardon?
It boils down to the issue of responsiveness. If we vote for our MPs, how responsive are they to our needs between the time that we have voted for them till the next elections? If they are not being responsive within this time, then the only way delegates or constituents can demand their pound of flesh is technically at the time that they are coming back to seek their mandate. In that instance, then you see that they will make instantaneous demands for exorbitant resources and money, which they wouldn't have gotten from the last time that they voted for them to the next elections. So in some cases, it could have been an issue of poor performance, poor showing, being responsive to the constituents, and they have been punished. In other instances, it may be an issue of what? Being overspent. And in some cases, it may be both. The MP knew that I wasn't up to the task, and the only way I can be retained is to spend money. But unfortunately, maybe others have been able to overspend them. So it could be a multiplicity of factors, including these two factors.
Okay, Dr. Alido
specifics.
All right, Dr. Saidu, stay with us. Joining us as parliamentary candidates for Ahanta West, Mr. Kojokum. Thank you for joining the conversation, and congratulations to you. We spoke on Friday. You were pretty confident that you were going to win, and you've done it.
Thank you too for this opportunity, and a very warm warning to your viewers and listeners.
All right, Madam Abayage, let me come to you. You did campaign on issues. I remember you saying strongly you didn't want the insult, you wanted to stick with the issues. But you did manage to kick out a very strong force from Parliament, a man who's been there fourth term now, and he's not going to go back because of you. How did you manage this?
Thank you very much. As I told you in my previous interview, we had an issue-based campaign. We had a well-calculated campaign. We had a strong campaign team, strong and committed campaign team. And I think our messages were well packaged, and they resonated very well with the people. And despite the tough contest that it was, they bought our message and voted for us.
All right. Madam Abayage, I'll come back to you. Let me just say hello and welcome to Col Vincent Asefua, who is now the candidate for Old Tafo. Congratulations to you, Vincent.
Thank you.
I guess this means you're not going to be at the Ministry of Education going forward.
I have not made the decision yet. I'm here to speak to my minister to know the way forward.
Okay, great.
If he so wishes that I should continue helping him as an obedient servant, I think I will gladly do that.
Mr. Kum, let me come to you. I think you spelled out your message to the delegates on Friday to us. But going forward, what would we see you make in terms of the changes going forward? Mr. Kojokum.
Constituency. Yes, hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. I think the results from my constituency now shows that the people, the delegates, still have confidence in me that I have the capacity to continue with the work that I've done for the past 3.5 years. Moving forward, the party itself is fashioning out its manifesto, and I'm sure in the next few weeks, the manifesto will be outlawed, where the key thematic areas for our campaign 2020 will be made known to all the candidates. And I believe that going forward, the 3 areas of focus that are outlined the last time we spoke, I'm still going to focus on those areas because, as I indicated, human capacity development and good health is the key to success. Once you have the human capital and once the people are in good health, then whatever projects, whatever programs that you have for your people, with the help of His Excellency the President, you are capable of doing it so that you bring smiles, you bring development and growth to the people in your constituency.
Madam Abayage, how much money went into this campaign? Is it something that you're able to put a figure on?
Who does that? Nobody does that. We don't do that in politics.
Well, there are women out there who are watching. They want to know how you did this. I mean, there are a lot of...
We worked hard, of course. Every campaign, I mean, goes with money. But I can't sit on TV and say I spent this much money or I spent this much money.
Okay, but at least you're not broke, are you? 2 days after the primaries, you're not broke.
No, I'm not broke. I'm definitely not broke. I told you that once people buy into your vision for a project or a program, they'll support you. I mean, I alone, I'm just an ordinary civil servant. I take the regional minister's salary. My salary alone wouldn't have been able to get me to campaign even a day. But you have people who thought that, no, this lady has a message and a mission which they think would be good for the constituency. And they bought into it and supported me. So I'm not broke.
We've been looking at the percentage of women who have made it through, even the number of women who picked forms to enter this contest. It's not encouraging. What do you think we can do to get a lot more women inspired to want to be there and then also be assured that once they put themselves out, they will be voted for?
First of all, it takes a lot of hard work. You, the female yourself, must be, or the woman yourself, must be motivated to do it. You shouldn't be told to go and do it. Trust me, getting into leadership, any woman who wants to go into leadership suffers a lot of pain along the line, insults, criticisms, all manner of things that nobody would want to go through. No female want to go through that. No husband will want to see the wife go through that. No brother will want to see the sister go through that. These are the issues that actually stop a lot of women from putting themselves forward. They are scared of the things they'll hear. In fact, some of the things that were said about me are so uncomfortable you wouldn't want to hear. And along the line, people were like, do you really have to go through this? And if I wasn't that strong character, I would have just bowed out and said, you know, enough is enough, I won't go through this. So these are the things. Once you make up your mind to go through it, and I will encourage women, no matter who you are, to try and put themselves out to reach their highest point of self-actualization. It's very important. It's not easy. It has never been easy for any woman at all. But once you decide to do that, then you've got to be able to take the bullets as they come and not bow out along the line. So, and then once you get in also, society has, you know, it's, especially in a patriarchal society like ours, it's difficult for people to accept that a female is coming. One of the campaign was the messages they used against me was, she's a woman, she's a woman. First of all, I'm a woman, I can't beat Kofi Ada. Now they are saying I'm a woman, I can't beat Samson. I'm wondering, I've beaten Kofi Addo, I don't see why I can't beat Samson. Samson is a small fry in the scheme of affairs in politics, you know. So that is it. They will say all these things. But I will encourage society that the time has come for us to accept women in leadership. Look, Kofi Annan said it years back, I think in 2000, when he was launching the Millennium Development Goals at that time, that you need the critical mass of 30%. Any country that wants to develop will need at least a critical mass of 30% of women representation to succeed. And here we are struggling so hard to get even 10%, to get 12, to get 11. And yet when women come out and they are strong enough to show face, they suffer that Herculean task of climbing the ladder. You know, one step for the man, the woman will have to do about 2 or 3 steps.
Vincent, let me come to you. Is the message to the delegates the same as, you know, going forward to the entire constituents? Hello, Vincent?
Hello?
Vincent, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, so I'm asking, we know for the delegates, you're dealing with a particular group of people. Now that you're candidates, I'm asking if the message going forward is going to be same.
Absolutely not. The delegate is a group of people who vote based on their experience in party politics. They want to hear a certain kind of policies. They want to hear a certain kind of ideas.
Can you kindly just speak up a bit for me? I think you're very low.
Is it okay now?
Yes.
Yes. When they give you the mandate, then you now meet the constituency executives, and you may have to also listen to the general public as far as the constituency is concerned, so that you could listen to their needs, draft policies based on their needs. It has been the case of even the entire nation when the flag bearer would want to bring out the manifesto. People do listen and talk, listen to the needs of the people before you could be able to bring out a manifesto. And that is exactly what we are going to do.
Because of the way you are sounding,
I think it's sounding more. It's sounding more like an MP now.
Did you use up all your money on Saturday?
Just raise your voice a bit for us.
This venture is very capital intensive, but as my sister said, when you have very good ideas, if you think that you are able and capable of doing this, you normally have people who come and support, buy into your ideas. And that is exactly what I did. I'm a young man. In fact, I've always said that working at the Ministry of Education as a public relations officer is not something that can earn you more than even 6,000 a month. So obviously you cannot go into such a venture if you want to live and do this based on your salary. But we got the support of people who believe in youth also entering into Parliament and bringing about fresh brains to Parliament so that we'll be able to blend with the experience in Parliament. And that is how come we were able to get the support to be able to prosecute this campaign in order for. And I thank the Almighty God that He gave us victory.
You're also stepping into some huge shoes there, aren't you? How are you going to make your presence felt? And I'm not by that question saying that it's automatic that you're going to be in Parliament. You still have a lot of work to do before you get there. But if you should, how are you going to fill those shoes?
Absolutely. I think that in 2004, when Dr. Anthony Akutose was going to Parliament, the words that we are using on him today couldn't have been used on him in 2004. Basically because we gave him the opportunity for him to serve, for him to learn on the job. And that is how come today we all know that Dr. Anthony Akutose is the man that we know today. And so I know that given the opportunity, in some few years, we will be able to also get to that level that Dr. Anthony Akutose was able to go. Of course, if there is no humility, there is no tenacity to be able to make sure that you get to the level that he was able to get to, then of course it means that you won't be able to do what he was able to do. But I agree and accept that that's a huge issue. In fact, when you mentioned the importance of the everybody talk about the economic messiah and all that, because everybody knows that this is a man who contributes so well, especially at the economic management meetings and the management of the economy in this country. But be that as it may, there's a man who is saying that now he's tired, he can't continue. You need to get somebody to be able to groom him or her so that that person will be able to fill that issue. So we are ready and we are prepared to make that difference.
Mr. Kum, and this question is to all of you as well. We've heard Mr. Eric Amankwable, who was a candidate, an aspirant at Sing North, who didn't win, obviously not happy that he didn't win, going back to take back his bicycles or the things that he gave out. I wonder what you gave out in this primaries. I'm not going to ask if you had not won, would you go back there for the things that you gave out. Mr. Kum.
Yes, the campaign actually doesn't start on voting day. Once you have an aspiration to be in parliament, your relationship with your people, your interactions with them, how long you stay with them, how many funerals you attend, how many engagements. So these are all activities that you cannot place value on. So it's not like a one-day event that you meet people and then by just a single day's act, they go to vote for you. So the campaign that we've done now, or the elections that were held on Saturday, the cost is not just the Saturday event. It started the day you were voted into power and you went into parliament. So right from there, the expenditure starts. So it's not a one-day expenditure that, oh, on voting day, you move to people and you facilitate their transport arrangements. So it's unfortunate that our colleague who lost has done this, but it's a lesson for all of us. So what it really means is that you really have to identify what the delegates want, and then once you're able to do that for them very well, then you are certain that when it comes to the day of reckoning, they also remember you and give you the votes as expected.
Ms. Ali said, I'll come back to you for a reaction. Just want to go around for the last time. Madam Ambayage, you agree that it is not just Parliament. In fact, it's the constituents, the funerals, the weddings, the naming ceremonies, all of them at the same level as the work in Parliament. Do you agree that this is going to be your life? And I'm predicting that you will not remain regional minister. You will get a ministerial appointment in Accra. And so would you be able to combine that?
Well, of course, you've got to be there for the people. I also remember that the last time we had the conversation, I mentioned that you've got to find time to be with the constituents. Of course, I mean, that's why you were voted. Yes, you have been voted as a candidate, possibly to go to parliament, which means that you are going to be a lawmaker, but you are also representing your people in parliament. You've got to constantly go back to account for what the duty they have assigned you. It's not always an easy one, but you've got to find time in between. People take these issues seriously, value issues, funerals, as he mentioned, weddings, particularly funerals. Even if it's a wedding and you are not able to attend, well, you can later on throw in a call or send a parcel or something. But particularly funerals, our people put a lot of value on funerals. So if you don't go with them when they are in pain and you just wait for one day, then it's problematic. I agree with him that it's a relationship from the beginning. Once I put myself together for this whole venture and decided on it, we have been moving almost every weekend. You have to go to Navrongo for one issue or the other. You've got to be there. You've got to show presence. Once you do that, you are building your delegates base. On day by day, you might be winning somebody who originally might not have decided to vote for you. So you don't wait till the last day or the last night to come with, as you said, goodies and all those stuff to share. When you do that, the delegates assume that you are buying them. And when you do that and you go, you don't come back again the next time you are coming back with the same items, then they will treat you on the same level. They wouldn't do anything for you. They will wait for you to come, and then you come and give them the goodies. And then they'll get tired because they just assume that, look, this person is using us, so let us take our own decisions. So I agree, we've got to keep that strong link. We've got to keep it and not break it along the line. It's going to be difficult, but we have to find a way of doing that.
Dr. Ali Dusedu, did you think we will ever get to a point where the work of Parliament and attending funerals and allowing constituents to come to your home as and when, sometimes to eat and share their problems, will be on the same level?
I least expected that, because it's conventionally it's not part of democracy. But democracy is also practiced within a context. So we cannot do away with the context. The African context is largely a social context. You know, we have affinity relationship with other people that we cannot take for granted. So every democracy is practiced within a context. Democracy is actually a way of life. And by way of life, it means your relationship with people, your relationship with both state and non-state institutions, and how you are able to manage that relationship. So in the context of Africa, democracy has now grown to include the African way of life. And I believe if you are a leader doesn't only lead in terms of fashioning out policies and programs that better the lives of the people, but the leader is somebody who understands the personal lives and challenges of the people that they lead. If you are able to get into the personal life of the people that you lead and make sure that you make them happy, then you are going to lead them in a manner that they will never question you, even if you do wrong. So I think it's the context. The African way of living has now been integrated into the former democratic processes. And you sometimes see that element of trade-offs and then banter between the Western conceptualization of democracy. The Western way of life is more about individual values and individual rights. And the African way of life is more about community and communal lifestyles. So you often see some of the institutions, the legislations, the laws, the protocols, and the conventions speaking to what? Individual rights. That is so important to the Western lifestyle compared to our own communal way of living. So you often see that element of trade-off and tensions between the kind of democracy that is practiced in the West and the African way of democracy integrated into the African value system. So you are definitely going to see that element of life playing out strongly.
Yeah.
I think I really like Madam Abayaga. I listened before she won the election. I listened to her messages and her campaign and was really marveled. Looking at only 12% out of 88 women who contested and the way she has been able to come, I think she deserves so much congratulations. And I think she's a very powerful woman. We are looking for the next Hawa Yakubu in Parliament. She's really great. I like her so much.
Thank you.
And I'm wondering, Dr. Ali Dusedu, if you give, I mean, they give out a lot of gifts out of their own free will, even though they needed their votes. Going forward, the people would expect same. They would expect the school fees. They would expect, I understand some people even go for it to ask for money so they can get married. Where are they going to get it from? I mean, if you don't have any other appointments and all you have is being a member of parliament and you have all these requirements to meet, how are they expected to do that?
It's really one of the serious challenges MPs face. We've done a lot of surveys in the run-up to the December elections. And one of the things that kept coming up was the unnecessary demands that constituents put on their MPs. It's really serious. I know the MPs don't pay. If you look at the formal payments and rewards that they get, it is not enough to be able to take care of all these needs. So I think moving forward, there should be constant education to let people know that it is not part of the work of the MP. Though some of them do promise them and then they do it. So what you have to do is to give them, teach them how to fish rather than keep giving them fish. So what MPs may do moving forward is to liaise with their local district level institutions or NGOs or partner organizations to be able to set up lifelong training institutions or career-based learning centers so that it could train these people, and then they can help them with resources that can help them be able to live independently from the constant demand.
Okay.
If you are able to do that, and then there's so much pressure, you can refer them or you can reference them to what you have been able to do to actually make them live independent lifestyles.
Okay.
But if you are not able to set up those kind of life learning, career building enterprises at satellite points within your constituency, you're just going to dip your money into your own pocket. You are not going to be able to do it, or two, you'll be forced to look for resources other than what you legally earn, and that can also lead you to trouble.
So let me ask Vincent Ekowasefwa, who's on the phone with us. Going forward, how do you intend dealing with all the demands that will come forward? Okay, we don't have him, but Mr. Kum, can I ask you that question? I mean, you're familiar with this, but now that you're reaching out not only to MPP delegates, you're reaching out to all MPP people, and you're reaching out also to NDC persons and those who are not necessarily aligned. How are you going to teach them how to fish?
Yes, that's why you realize I was talking about human capacity development earlier on. Once the people are well-resourced, they have good jobs, they have something worth doing, then certainly the pressures on you will be reduced. And if the government is also rolling out a lot of programs, planting for food and jobs and all the flagship programs that were introduced by His Excellency the President, you get as many of your people to enroll into some of these programs and projects. And certainly the demands on you would not be that much. And you realize that our constituencies too are not the same. I mean, if you go to Ayawaso West Wugon, the demands on the MP there will not be the same as the demands on a rural MP. So you have to have a balancing act. And then I keep on saying that we all do not have the same demands. Somebody will just need your presence at his funeral, and for him, that's okay. Somebody will just want you to pick up his or her call, and for him, he's comfortable. Oh, I'm able to call my MP and speak to him. For him, that is his greatest problem. Once you're able to speak to him anytime he calls, he is okay. So there's skills identification and there's a demand identification. Once you're able to go through that, then you'll be able to satisfy some of the demands. And then honesty. When the person comes to you and he comes with his problem, and he's certain in his mind that, look, my MP could have helped me, but due to the pressures on him, he's unable to help me this time around. So communication. It's not just sufficient for the person to come to you and you just tell him, no, I can't help you. But when you're able to persuade him why at this point in time you can't be of help, and he believes in what you say, you are good to go. So it's just a matter of knowing how to live with them, knowing how to even receive their problems and the kind of solutions that you offer to them. And once you do that, I'm sure your people will get along with you.
Madam Abayage, same question to you. Because I don't want you to be under undue pressure.
Well, as the doctor said, we are a social community. That's how Africans are, and Ghanaians particularly. Even more so our part of the country because of our poverty levels. You have to find a way of balancing yourself. As my brother said, if you don't have, you don't have. But you've got to communicate that well to them. It's not every time you can satisfy everybody's needs. Those that you can satisfy, you satisfy. Those that you can't, you explain and let them understand that, look, I can't do this one. Maybe I can do it in the future. I can do it now. Once you communicate well with your people and find a way of linking up with them, sometimes their demands may be quite out of the ordinary. You know, some of the demands that the requests people have made of me are like, wow. But then some also is just a phone call, check, responding to their text messages and all that. As I keep saying, nobody is saying that it's an easy task, but you've got to find a way of satisfying those needs, both physical, financial, and sometimes mental, psychological. Somebody just wants you to talk to him or her and then ease some pain. You just need to do the balancing round. That's it for me, yes.
Dr. Ali to say maybe a final one. We've reported on these primaries held in areas where the NPP has majority, well, where the NPP has seats. Is it automatic that for Hunter West, for instance, for Navrongo Central, Ota, for all these areas, is it automatic that they've made it once they are on the ballot and they are NPP, they're going to win?
It's still, yeah, you can say it's likely, but I still believe campaigning for primaries, the target audience and the people that vote is quite different from when you are going for national level elections. Even at the primaries, you are dealing with only your party members, and not even all your party members, a selected privileged class of your party members called delegates. So it may be very easy to come all of them to give them money or to please them or whatsoever it is. But when you are going out to the major elections, you are speaking not only to your party people, but to people who doesn't belong to your party and people who are still undecided to vote. So sometimes it's not just about winning, but it is also reinforcing your power, the margin of victory that you are going to get, but also how much you can contribute to the presidential ticket. So maybe if you are contesting, for example, if you have won a primaries at Bantama, it's on the NPP ticket. It's very likely that you are moving towards a parliament. But what are you going to demonstrate to the party that you are better than the previous candidate? By increasing the margin of victory for yourself, but also for the presidential candidate, because the presidential candidate's vote is cumulative. It's not only a stronghold. Yours is first past the post. This is a threshold, 50 plus 1. So I think they shouldn't be complacent that, oh, this constituency is a safe constituency for what? NPP or NDC, and for that matter, I'm going to relax. Because the person that you have defeated in the primaries maybe will come back again, or another person will look at these particular small mistakes that you are making and capitalize on it and come back for the seat one day. So I think they shouldn't be complacent. I congratulate all of them and I wish them well, but the journey has just begun. There is more fight to do in December, and I wish them well and all the best.
Just a final one, and I want to go to Madam Abaya again, Mr. Kum. Ms. Ali to say, I will need your thoughts. And I'm not saying your constituencies necessarily, but we saw the pictures on Saturday. We continue to see the pictures, the videos. People absolutely did not pay attention to the health directives because of COVID-19. In the jubilations and people were not wearing masks, not social distancing. In the aftermath of the primaries, Mr. Kum, what's your reaction to the fact that supporters did not pay attention to the health directives?
Yeah, that's very unfortunate, but we work around it, and I'm not anticipating any issues arising out of some of these over-jubilation that characterized the events. But I believe that measures will be put in place. We still have a long way to go, and then we will do all within our best to protect our constituents, because you need the constituents to be healthy and alive before they can even register when the voter registration exercise begins. And then they need to be healthy and alive up to December to enable them even vote for you on the election day. So we've learned the lessons and moving forward, we take immediate steps to correct whatever errors or whatever things that happened that were not supposed to have happened.
Madam Abaya, what's your reaction to the videos and the pictures?
Yes, I agree. You know, sometimes when we are a bit excited, we take things overboard. It's unfortunate as it is. I'm sure that moving on, you know, unfortunately, we know the education has gone down where people are aware of the disease, they are aware of all the protocols, but the human nature is like that once in a while when you get excited, you just forget yourself and you do all the wrong things. And campaigns are full of, it's an adrenaline, filled activity. And I'm sure that it's this kind of adrenaline shot into people's heads that made them to do that. But maybe once we have gone past this, the next thing is to get our people educated more that, look, next time, please, even if you won't do anything at all, just put on the mask. Because once you put on the mask and you don't keep touching your faces and touching people, you are good to go. One thing I noticed is that it was, people were not shaking hands, they will use the elbow to greet and all that. But we were close to each other and ruffling each other. So we should be careful next time when we are celebrating. I agree with you.
Well, I hope that going forward, it will be part of your campaign as well.
Exactly.
The COVID message. Well, congratulations to you again. And I can't help but ask, you came back from Italy, you went to Navrongo, now you're going to Parliament. Was that the plan from the beginning?
Maybe that was God's plan, not mine. Mine was to go to Italy. Coming back to Ghana wasn't my plan. In fact, whilst I was in Italy, I was praying that I was enjoying Italy and was actually praying that the president will extend my term when he comes in for his next term, he will let me still stay in Italy. And yet I was the first to be kicked out of Italy back to Ghana. I'm sure it was a divine plan by God, not me.
Well, we wish you the very best. Thank you for spending a bit of your morning with us. All the best with the campaign going forward. Mr. Kum.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. You were sure you're going to get it, and you have done it. Congratulations to you again. The very best with the campaign going forward.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. That's parliamentary candidate for Hunter West. We've also had a conversation with the candidate for Navrongo Central. She kicked a huge person from Parliament, Joseph Kofiada, who is the aviation minister, a man who's been there for 16 years. Well, if he's done with this term, then that will be 16 years, and it's the end of the road for him. We do not know if he will come back some other time. Dr. Ali Seidu, I'm not sure okay, so you're with me. Dr. Seidu, there are people who have said that they will either go independent. There are people who are dissatisfied with the process. There was an injunction in Subing. We would later hear that elections were going on. There was another constituency as well. What do you predict going forward? What are the signs that you're seeing?
I think the NPP as a party will have to address these concerns with the very limited time that we have. If you look at some of the constituencies, most of them won by less than 1,000 votes, a little bit of 550 or 500 votes. If people begin to show this element of dissatisfaction and the party's conflict resolution structures doesn't address their concerns, they may come out openly and contest as independent. And that is going to divide the vote of the NPP and hand over victory to the NDC or any other candidate that is contesting outside of the NPP family. That is one way some of them may address it. Others may not come out openly and contest independent, and you know that they are protesting. They are going to keep quiet. They are going to campaign behind the scenes and to undermine the one who has won the primaries. And at the end of the day, that person is going to lose. What others may also do is that they will campaign among their followers not to go out and vote, and that apathy will endanger the kind of victory that we're going to have in 2020, not only at the parliamentary level, but also at the presidential level. I know a lot of things happened which wasn't satisfactory to all the contestants that were involved, even including the decision to protect 65 of the contestants without any reason or explanation given for doing that. But I think what is important is that the NPP must put up a committee or conflict resolution mechanism to deal with these grievances. And what is important is that it's not just setting up that mechanism, but that mechanism must include people who the aggrieved parties can trust. If somebody sat in the committee that disqualified me, and then a conflict resolution mechanism is constituted, and that same person is sitting in that committee to deal with my concerns, I wouldn't be so satisfied that he can do a very fair job to me. So I think the people that they are going to put up into these committees to address these challenges must be people who have integrity among the concerned parties so that they can listen to them and then agree to some of the solutions that will come. People will never be happy. It happens in all the time. But their ability to institute a conflict resolution mechanism as quickly as possible, constituted by credible people that these parties with concerns can trust, can help them. But if they are not able to do that, we know how difficult it is to be in opposition, even with a minority, not to talk to be in government with a minority. And I think if they are not able to do this well, it is going to play so much to the advantage of the NDC, and they are going to have a full day in December.
I was just going to ask about the NDC. How should they be positioning themselves with this news that 40 of the MPs are not going back, most of them very crucial in Parliament? Is this, does this send a certain message that the NDC can win in areas where, you know, they've been noted as MPP strongholds, for instance?
I think most of the seats that the NDC lost in 2016 was not just because people were not happy with the candidates or the party. It has to do with some of these issues that the NPP are facing now. Primaries, people were disqualified and all those things, and the NDC wasn't very quick enough to deal with the concerns. Some of them went independent, others told their supporters not to vote, and all those things. So the NDC is seriously poised to be able to take back some of these seats if they work out very well, especially in cases where we have newcomers playing on board. You see, the old guys had a little bit of experience in election management, election campaigning, and they knew the system better. These new people that are coming in, if they are not able to liaise very well with the incumbent that they have done with and work together and learn from them, it's going to be very difficult. So it is important that the newly successful candidates should find a way to patch up with the old ways that they have taken out of the scene so that they can learn from them. Because some of them, this is their first time they are going to contest in a national election of this caliber, constituting of about maybe 16, 17, 18 million voters. So it's not like a child's play. So with the kind of experience that they have, they need a little bit of support from the party, the incumbent candidates that they have defeated, to be able to match up for the old guys in the NDC who are going to contest against them. Other than that, the NDC candidates can use their element of experience in election and election contest and be able to patch up with the grievances that led to their defeat in 2016, and they can emerge clear winners in 2020 December.
Just before we wrap up on this, your biggest shock in the primaries, who were you not expecting would be kicked out and has been?
Makasibe Yeboah.
A lot of people say that.
He has done a lot. I think he has been on the scene at the national level, at parliamentary level, especially on finance and everything. So I at least expected that. I still don't understand why the NPP didn't protect him if they had protected other candidates.
Well, you've been talking about democracy. If they had protected him, what would be the democracy in this?
But Mama, if they had protected 65 MPs, what went into that justification? Why did they protect them and not him?
So you strongly believe that Makasibe Yeboah should have been protected?
Yeah, I think he was doing so well for the party, to be honest with you.
Okay. I had a conversation with the man who knocked him off, and he said, if the party thought he was doing so well, then why didn't they protect him? The fact that they didn't means that the views that some of us hold, not the same as the party.
You know, so sometimes it's not just whether the candidate is doing so well or not. Maybe it also has to do with the candidate's relationship with the party hierarchy or with the president, chief of staff.
All right, and then just when we are joined,
even if you have some of this, they may want to teach you a lesson, you know, that kind of thing.
All right, Dr. Ali Seidu, thank you so much for your time this morning. Thank you for the analysis. He's a political scientist with the University of Ghana, Legon. Dr. Ali Seidu, also the candidates that we've had a conversation with. Roland Walker.
Yeah.
Biggest shocker I keep hearing is Makasibe Yeboah.